The opinions expressed on this program are those of the participants and do not necessarily reflect those of Cable 14, its sponsors, or its shareholders, Cogeco Cable, Shaw Cable, and Source Cable Limited.
And welcome to the January 12th edition of Hamilton Talks. I am Larry Di Ianni, the host of the program. And Hamilton Talks, of course, is a community affairs program that talks to Hamiltonians who are well known in the city and Hamiltonians who may not be as well known but are also moving the community forward. And we're very pleased tonight to be talking to one such Hamiltonian, Mr. Chris Ecklund, Mr. Waterfall himself. Chris Ecklund is a Hamilton philanthropist and businessman who's adopted as his motto, community first. Chris has been successful in business, but has made his mark in the city of Hamilton through his community services. He's initiated many endeavors, but two recent ones have caught the attention and imagination of the city and beyond. His Canadian Heroes campaign honors those Canadians who serve in our armed forces, with a particular focus on those brave soldiers who have died for our freedom. And Chris's City of Waterfalls campaign has turned on its head how Hamilton and others view our city. Recently, people as diverse as Rick Mercer and individuals who have made a recent presentation from McMaster University but are from other cities to City Council have both referenced Hamilton as a waterfall capital of the world. We're very pleased to welcome to our program Mr. Chris Ecklund.
Thank you.
Welcome to the show, Chris.
Thanks for having me.
And Chris, you know what? It's great. I've known you for a number of years now, for quite a few years, and you're thoroughly engaged in the community. We're going to talk about some of your pet projects, but what we like doing in this program is allowing our viewers to get to know the individual as well. And I know that you're a Hamiltonian, lifelong.
Born here, yep.
And where did you grow up? Where did you go to school?
Grew up on the mountain, went to school at Ridgemount beside Mountain Arena, and then went to Cardinal Heights just down the road, and then the other way went to Westmount.
All right, so really your education was spent right here in the city. And I've talked about your businesses, and you know, this is not a program that will dwell on your business, but you're involved in business. I mean, that's how you make your living. What do you do? What kind of businesses are you involved in?
Well, I actually have a new company that we're just about to launch, Ecklund Estate Homes. I think a lot of people know the one garage that I have painted up on Scenic Drive with the Canadian Heroes logo on it. I actually have 3 houses in a row on Scenic Drive, and we're going to be building some beautiful limestone estate houses there, along with a couple more in Ancaster. I have some properties on Sulphur Springs Road and Mineral Springs Road. And it's something, even a communique I received from our Chief of Staff, Peggy Chapman. It's going to change how a lot of people look at the city. It's a very risky thing that I'm doing, but at the same time, they are the best properties in the city right now. So we're going to be doing something extremely that every Hamiltonian can be very, very proud of.
Well, and you've just defined yourself, I think, as an entrepreneur, which implies taking some risks, and this is a new venture for yourself. We wish you well with it. And of course, even one of our young interns here helping out in the studio points out that whenever he drives by Scenic Drive, he does see the garage, the Canadian Heroes garage.
That's right.
And I understand that you might be looking for a home for that door.
Yes, that will be the first house that will come down, and it's a 16-foot door, so I'm not sure what we're going to do with it, but that door needs to find a home. So if anybody's watching, feel free to contact me, but I'd like to see that door obviously carry on at somebody else's house if possible. Right.
Well, Chris, you've got a website, and I went to the website, and here's what you say on the website. You say this, for years, and I'm quoting you now, for years, I have advocated the use of volunteering and philanthropy to strengthen the city of Hamilton, improve its image, and keep alive the spirit of community pride. you hit on some very important themes there. One has to do with image. Another has to do with altruism, giving of yourself as much as you can. And the last is instilling pride in community. So does that imply, Chris, that the proud city that we once were, we are no longer? Why did you adopt that?
Well, I think that basically goes back to the Waterfall campaign. If you look at all the points there, as you know, when Rick Mercer was just here, I'll set the tone for that. About 3 years ago, we were doing a trade show in Toronto, our March Madness that I call it. We did 4 trade shows every weekend. Man Tracker, who runs around the bush and finds people, Man Tracker did a skit with Rick. So we basically hid Rick in the basement of the City of Waterfalls bus. And it was very, very comical. But I had a great talk with Rick, told him all about the Waterfalls. He was amazed at the bus. But when we do the trade shows, what a lot of Hamiltonians don't know, because it's something that I don't advertise per se. The politicians, they follow us when we're around the province and such. But we'll have over 1 million people that walk by the booth and see what we're doing at all the different trade shows, the Santa Claus parades. And when you witness the people from outside of Hamilton, when they start talking about Hamilton, and even all the volunteers get to see all this, it instills an incredible amount of pride in Hamiltonians, because they see it firsthand now how the world is looking differently at our city. And when you get out to one of the waterfalls, the people's jaws are on the ground when they're going, Hamilton? This is Hamilton? And it's kind of funny sometimes, because people, they actually will say, well, how long has this been here for? And well, the waterfall's been here for a couple 100,000 years, but they've been hidden. Nobody has really has seen it this way until for the last few years.
So let me interrupt, because we're going to go through that, but I want to start a little bit at the beginning, because I recall some years ago, before you even launched this, that you came to me with this idea, and I think your words were something along the lines that you're going to do something that if people understand the scope and the bigness of it, they'll get scared. First of all, why did you think we needed to brand ourselves differently from what we were? Blue collar, our strength is people, our product is steel kind of image that DeFasco gave us, perhaps. Why did you think that needed changing?
I guess that I'm very lucky in the way that I have a full circle with being an entrepreneur, with being somebody that has a payroll of over 200 people, with the marketing, growing up here, seeing the challenges, working in the factory. At one time, my mom had 5 lunch buckets all lined up. We were at the Fasco, Stelco. I was at Firestone. So I'm proud of the fact that I've been born here and I've seen the city transform. I love being up in my suite on the 3rd floor at Iverwin, overlooking. I'm extremely proud of that heritage, and I never forget that. But Ron Foxcroft, he hit the nail on the head when this started. He would send me one email, the same word, bolded, capitalized, and all it said was one word: image, image, image. So for a lot of the business people that go around the world, yourself included, when you start talking to Hamilton, it's like, gee, I'm sorry. And, having operations in the United States, et cetera, image has always, always, always been our number one. And if
our number one problem?
And if we can't change the image, a lot of the other things will not happen with it. Now, when you look at saying how big this was, yes, you're right. When I started this, I scared the living heck out of a lot of people. I had people coming to me, politicians, people in Tourism Hamilton, everybody saying, Chris, oh my God, this was tried, it didn't work. How are you going to do this? This is a massive, massive project.
So your intent was to rebrand Hamilton through the Waterfall project?
Well, I don't want to get caught up with the rebranding issue. That is something that in marketing, that naturally comes if your product is successful or whatever you're doing. Basically, we should probably go back to how it all began.
Yeah.
I'm at a fundraiser, and I can't remember what it was, but there was a silent auction table, and those people in the city know that I'm dangerous at silent auction tables. And I saw this poster that Joe Hollick made up in Dundas of all of our waterfalls on it, and it had like 15 waterfalls on it. Now here I am, a guy born and raised, thinking that I kind of knew what was going on, and I see all these waterfalls, and I said, well, where are these waterfalls? Hamilton. I'm going, where? I'm born and raised here. I know of 2 waterfalls, Devil's Punch Bowl and Albion Falls. I've never heard of Two's Falls, Webster's Falls, like, please. So right there, as soon as I looked at that poster, I said, this is the answer. So within probably 24 hours after a flurry of phone calls, I'm going like, why is nobody doing anything about this? You've got a private citizen, Joe Hollick, who has these posters. There's nothing I could find anywhere. And I'm thinking, you know, here we are, and this leads to the thing about the that infamous moment in my suite at Ivor Wynn, where I go, you're looking out over Hamilton, and our image is that dirty, smelly, stinky one. I said, what's the absolute 180-degree opposite of that? Trees, rock, water, nature, clean. And I go, it's all here. Why isn't anybody talking about it? So that's basically how it began.
Okay, so the motivation was this poster, which, by the way, as a counselor, I had hanging in my wall in my office. And actually, there was a book, and I was determined to visit each of those waterfalls. Mm-hmm. I think I made it through a number of them, not all of them. So the waterfall certainly attracted. But what made you decide then to go from, water, clean, air, environment, opposite of smelly, stinky, dirty? What made you decide to embrace the project and use the Hamilton City, capital city, waterfall capital city of the world yet? Why did you decide that? How did you decide that? Or did you decide that?
Well, it's nothing that I decided. I mean, the facts decided it for me. When I started looking into how many waterfalls and then starting to find out other cities and all that, it's nothing that I came up with. It was simply, it's the facts that are out there, and it's all, you can't argue against the numbers. We have more waterfalls in our city than any city in the world. So it was one of those things, again, by packaging
so,
and all.
Is there a waterfall almanac somewhere that I'm not aware of? How can we be so definitive on that?
Simply by research.
Okay. So
it's and again, that when that came up, it was one of those things of, there was a lot of embarrassment where a lot of people within the city basically said, you know what, and this is kind of one of those sad moments, if you will, where there was some people trying to derail this at the very beginning for purposes that they can now look at themselves. And
do you want to name names?
No, those people know. I mean, even to this day, I still get some people from within certain circles that say, because there's a lot of people jealous of the fact that the citizens of Hamilton did what certain departments or politicians couldn't do. And I think some of those people lost their way in saying, you know what, we need to do. And it's one of the things I say all the time. I say, I will always do what's in the best interest of this city and its people. And I think a lot of people lose sight of that at times, not just on the Waterfall campaign, but with other things that are happening in the city. So that being said, fast forward 3 years, and of course now everybody's on side. They're going, you know what, Chris, you did all the heavy lifting, you spent all the money, you've done, over 50 parades and trade shows. We've done more trade shows than the city of Hamilton as an entity ever has. First time ever at the CNE. But you know what? It all comes down to one thing. It's the people. The citizens of Hamilton are the champions here. All I did is I just pushed it.
Well, but you pushed it in a very special way. First of all, we don't need to talk about the money that it cost to mount a campaign like this, but money was expended. You're not funded by anybody, are you? I mean, there's no external agency that's funding you. These are all resources that you've put together yourself. And what is it that you do? Not only have you listed these waterfalls and written some books about them, actually, but you've got a big bus and some vehicles with waterfall wrapped in waterfall designs, right?
Yeah, we have 4 SUVs, Hondas, that have all wrapped City Waterfalls, and of course my personal motor coach is wrapped the City Waterfalls bus, which is the rock and roll star of the city. A lot of people, and I'm sure everybody has seen it around.
Everybody has.
You know, it's been everywhere, and that's what it's for, is to be used. You know.
And of course, what you do through Facebook primarily, you also invite people to go to the waterfalls, and in the last couple of years, you've taken to lighting them at night. Tell us about that.
Well, the Waterfall Illuminations are, we're still kind of in the infancy stage of that. I did a special Christmas illumination of Tiffany. It made the front page of the Spectator.
Yeah.
It's the first time we've ever went to the media to carry this, because especially with Tiffany, if I say I'm doing an illumination tomorrow, I'll have 100 people there. A lot of Mac students, again, as soon as they see the bus there, they say, oh, something's going on. And but the other night, the Christmas one, we had over 300 people there. And it was a moment that was a beautiful, beautiful moment for the city and the citizens. We had everybody giving applause. And I mean, in the Valley, it was one of those most proudest moments that I've ever had as a Hamiltonian. And the hundreds of people were there all said the same thing. You know, they said, how proud I am to be a Hamiltonian. Like, wow.
Well, I saw the video. It's absolutely fantastic. And to see it on the front page of our newspaper as well was great. How many waterfalls do we have in the city?
We have in the 140 range. You know.
What's your favorite?
I can't have one.
Well, let me tell you, Webster's Falls is great, as well as Albion Falls. I mean,
that's right.
Two's Falls. I mean, they're all wonderful, but those are some of my favorites. Yeah. Listen, I want to talk about, we could talk about the whole show on waterfalls, but I do want to talk about another project that's close to your heart, and then I want to get to some city issues as well. Yeah. And you're wearing a T-shirt with the Canadian Heroes logo on it, and there are some vehicles wrapped as well, and you've done some really touching and wonderful things in terms of honoring, especially, and we're showing the logo right now on the screen, especially those who have fallen and their families. Tell us about this initiative, Canadian Heroes.
A former member of Parliament brought me this song called Canadian Heroes. And I'm actually at Ivor Wynn's house up at Scenic, and put the CD in, and I listened to it. And as soon as I heard it, I said, you know, this is not a song. This is something that is much, much more special than just a song. The children from the St. Michael's Choir, 75 children, sing at the 2-minute mark. And when I heard it, I said, you know what, we can do something beautiful here. And at that point, it was, Chris, look, we don't know what to do with this song. You're the type of guy who knows how to make things happen. What do we do? And they wanted to sell it to a beverage company for $100,000. And I said, look, if you do that, I'll tell you exactly what's going to happen. It's going to end up on a shelf in a month or two. They're going to do the usual thing, and then that's done. I said, if you want money, here's a check. So I basically took over the rights to the song. But the song has become just a tiny part of it. It very, very quickly evolved with, as you said, now with the vehicles. We have 7 memorial vehicles that are on the road. I just formed a NASCAR race team, which is a first for this country. The Americans have got dozens of teams for their soldiers and troops, and we don't have one. And I've sponsored 7 races so far also. So it has evolved into a lot of different things, with a big emphasis on our fallen soldiers. We do all the, unfortunately, I'm at all the repatriations, and we're always at the coroner's office in Toronto. So it's become something that's, I'm very, very honored, you know, that I could be part of it.
Well, and you know, we're going to listen to a little bit of the song. Why don't we, can we call it up now, studio people?
Canadian soldier, a long, long way from home.
Well, that's got to be emotional,
Yeah,
Chris, and it's
yeah.
a a great song. And of course, seeing all of those young people serving our country, and seeing some who did not return from their various posts, has to tug at our heartstrings. Now, you've got a bit of a military background, though, don't you?
Yeah, and I want to also thank Mindy Tweedle from Tweedle Productions. Mindy put what you saw there. Mindy put all that together to music, and also we have had people that are in this video contact me and said, Chris, that's me in here and all that, and so everybody's extremely proud of the whole thing. But yes, my military background goes well back. Myself, my father was a pilot in World War II. My grandfather paid the ultimate sacrifice over in France. A very, very bad battle over there. I started as an air cadet on my 11th birthday, and then worked up into the Army in that, and then a long term with Royal Canadian Air Force Association 447 wing up at Mount Hope Airport. So.
Well, that's great, and well done. Congratulations, Chris. This is important for the country, and really, one would hope that the federal government is paying attention. I know this is a government now that likes our military traditions, and they should be very supportive of this. And of course, you've started the racing team. Now we have 2 racing cars. I was at the bringing into the garage of one of them that looked to me, and you told me how much you paid for it. It's pretty banged up, and we showed it actually in our bio intro. It needs some work, but it's going to be racing. And why is that important? I know the Americans do it, but why is that important?
Because the families tell me it is. It's one of the things, when Canadian Heroes was started, I brought 3 families of the fallen together. And the one thing that the one mother said to me is, she said, Chris, what's Canadian Heroes going to be? And I said, you tell me. I said, it's not up to me to define what this is. And she says, well, we don't want your money. And I said, then what do you want? She goes, we don't want our boy forgotten. And the first car that I sponsored at the Toronto Indy, actually, at one of the repatriations, the media came up to me and said, you know what, Chris, we remember your car at the Molson Indy. It was absolutely amazing. People were doing the wave. I mean, I wasn't there for the race, but it's memories like that, the Canadians, on the emails that we've received since the weekend. It's absolutely amazing. So with the race team, again, this is a huge thing. It's NASCAR. Racing's not cheap. NASCAR is the top league. So it's now up to the country to say that this is important. I am funding it to get it going, but obviously I can't do that. It's wrong for me to do this, to continue it on. So we're at the point now where we're getting ready to reach out to Canadians and say,
all right, well,
you know,
I think Canadians will be very supportive as the campaign rolls out. Chris, you're engaged not only in the 2 projects that we talked about, but lots of things, and you take an interest in community events. And I know that you haven't been shy about expressing your opinion on various events as well. Let's talk about some of them. We don't have much time. We've got about 3 or 4 minutes left, only, unfortunately. The latest one had to do with a levy that was canceled, and then it was brought back, and I guess it's this weekend as well at City Hall, sponsored by the mayor. But there was a citizens levy on the 1st, and a number of people showed up. You were there, and you said, I'll support it by providing coffee or whatever, and funding it from here on in if the citizens want it. Why did you think that was important?
Again, as a military tradition, I've been to probably I don't know how many levies. It's a very, very important thing to have. At the end of the day, it's not about finger pointing about what's right or wrong. I think the citizens need to have a levy. The date per se is not important. I'm being a traditionalist. I like it on the 1st. So, you know what? If the mayor wants to hold a levy in the future, fine. You know what? As I say to everybody, I'm here to serve. If the mayor wants help with it, if the citizens want to carry it on again, then I'm here to help out.
You were involved in the stadium debate. No secret that you were a West Harbour person.
Yes.
So you don't think that changing that was the right thing. But why did you feel so strongly about taking a position?
Well, oddly enough, a lot of people have been asking me why I have been so quiet on the Ivory Wind issue. I will publicly not talk about this simply because there's a lot of stuff that nobody knows about, and I don't think it will do any good to bring it up. The president of Iverwind did come to me at one time when I was doing a lot of work with the Tiger Cats. And basically, you know, we had a lot of talks, and I was going to head up a whole thing about the West Harbor. So the West Harbor...
The president of Iverwind?
No, sorry, Tiger Cats,
okay.
Scott Mitchell. So things started to go offside pretty quickly, you know, five years ago. And, you know, it's very, very unfortunate that a lot of this stuff happened. But there's a lot of lessons to be learned here.
All right. Well, it sounds to me like there's a book in it, because if there's lots of stuff, you know, that would certainly be of interest to Hamiltonians. Very quickly, Velodrome, good idea for Hamilton, yes or no?
It's a good idea if it
Are you the mystery money man that's going to support it?
Kaiser Soze is.
All right. Downtown revitalization.
Yes.
Are you happy with what's happening downtown?
That's why I put my head office downtown.
And finally, people have asked, in fact, people think that you're doing all of this stuff because you want to run politically. Are you ever going to run?
Well, as one person said, the only reason why Ecklund spends millions is because he's running for mayor, and then a certain councillor quit back. Well, then I guess he's on a 25-year campaign. The answer to that right now is no.
All right. Well, you know, if that's a political answer, that may not be a shut door, no. But Chris, listen, thank you for coming onto the program, my friend, and thank you for everything that you do for our community. We'll keep an eye on the projects as they go forward. And thank you for watching Hamilton Talks. We're going to listen to some more of Canadian heroes, but tune in next week because Bobby Assadourian, Go Ask Bob, is going to be on the show. Thanks for watching.